There exist monsters in this planet that are impervious to traditional weapons and explosives. They brought anarchy to the planet, and it appeared nobody could stop them. Nevertheless, as always in the face of fatal threats, mankind had an opportunity. Depending on their rarity, different locations started to show magical doors of various hues. People could become players with superhuman abilities able to combat monsters by crossing these doorways. The gamers first effectively defeated the monsters, but later a portal showing monsters so strong that even all the players together were helpless surfaced. It was at that same time that Subaru, our story's MC, took front stage. Thanks to the power gained from the special rainbow door, he vanquished the boss of all enemies in one blow, exactly as a real Saitama. You could wonder how he developed such strength. Let us investigate his challenging road more. The scenario returns to when Subaru is 15 years old. He is seated on the couch with Taiga, 13-year-old television enthusiast. Both of them are viewing an interview with eminent gold player Hirasaka. Talking enthusiastically about Hirasaka's successes, Subaru is totally motivated. Taiga considers him loud and obnoxious. Angry, he informs the protagonist they are not true brothers since they are not linked by blood. Subaru suffers greatly from this criticism, becomes quiet and depressed. The interviewer probes Hirasaka on the television regarding the enigmatic gate that materialized in the mansion. The hero acknowledges they uncovered a gate inside a home too late, allowing lethal species to flee. He says that since ordinary weaponry couldn't kill these animals, 16 people died. The only ones able to kill the creatures are chosen players picked via trial doors. Hirasaka further mentions that there is a countdown on the barrier separating another realm. The animals will come to surface when the timer runs out. He admits a mistake from the other day a creature escaped, but tells the people they are trying to enter the gate and eradicate all the monsters before the timers run out. The interviewer compliments him for killing the fleeing creature in one blow, saving many lives from more damage even if he feels guilty over the fatalities. Though obviously regretful, humble Hirasaka welcomes the compliments, knowing the price of his error. To stop such tragedies, the player exhorts others to document any sightings of enigmatic doors right away. Speaking for his team, he said the athletes every day risk their lives to guard the people from these lethal creatures. The commitment of Hirasaka and the bravery of every player really inspire Subaru. 5 years ago, the portal to another realm initially emerged and opened a road for creatures immune to conventional weaponry to pass. Only the players can stop these beings that threaten mankind. Selected ones who passed through the doors of trial appeared on the same day the gate opened to these players. The doors run in gold, silver, and copper. Though all players are appreciated by mankind for their bravery, those who walk through gold doors are the most strong and highly regarded. The interviewer probes Hirasaka on the process of choosing a 1. Hirasaka says the doors of trial only welcome those who show themselves to be strong. Sitting next to Subaru, Taiga makes fun of him, saying he will never be strong enough to pass through any door. Subaru, 15 years old, is shocked when suddenly a brilliant gold door materializes. Driven to open the door and alter his fate, the main character steps forward and grips it, overwhelmed by the moment. His stepbrother pushes him aside, grasping the chance for himself just as he is ready to succeed. Taiga walks right in, therefore depriving Subaru of his opportunity to change his life. Taiga is already the youngest gold-ranked player 3 years later, garnering much praise and appreciation. 3 copper-ranked athletes are bullying Subaru in meantime. They mockingly use him as a target for amusement and tie him off with a rope. Taiga shows up on the scene, seeing Subaru's humiliation alongside a girl. Saying he is embarrassed to call Subaru his brother, he mocks him rather than interfering. Taiga then strikes his stepbrother with his unique move, a strong blow like to Hirasaka's golden sword. The attack leaves the poor man comatose. Taiga says coldly that he doesn't care if the copper players kill Subaru as he leaves with the girl. Left totally exposed, the bullies desert the protagonist. Viewers pit him in sympathy, wondering about his wretched life. News stories published the following day show 4 portals to the other realm having emerged, and Taiga has destroyed all. Taiga's parents honor him for bringing dignity to the family at supper that evening. Even still a student, his mother praises him for helping them financially. She boldly says how lucky she is to have produced such a gifted son, unlike her stepson Subaru. Their father similarly writes his kid off as a failure. Taiga discovers his pricey branded water has ran empty during the dinner. He goes to the room resembling a cage where Subaru resides and orders him to get the right brand of water. The wicked stepbrother calls Subaru useless and mercilessly threatens that he will be his pet always. Reflecting angrily on Taiga's comments as Subaru exits the house, traverses the streets. He recalls the difficult circumstances he lives in his small Ruma cage, devoid of escape from the sweltering summer heat or frigid winters. Taiga sees Subaru as nothing more than an insect. His parents treat him as a servant. Subaru starts to regret not grabbing his opportunity presented by the golden door. The main character, in his hopelessness, thinks about killing himself as the only way out from his agony. 3 players ranked in copper show up in meantime. Clearly by the marks on their bodies, they have just returned from demolishing a gate. Seeing Subaru, they choose to kill him for pleasure to release their rage and tiredness. Equipped with their swords, they start hunting him, striking him anywhere they can, therefore leaving Subaru badly wounded. Subaru stumbles and understands his life is about to pass through these players' hands. Though at first he considered suicide, he suddenly finds a great surge of will. He is not dying anymore. As Subaru begs his life, the players corner him at a dead end and savagely abuse him. 4 doors of trial show up right then between Subaru and the players. 3 of the doors are copper, gold, and silver. The 4th one jumps out. That door is a rainbow. One of the 3 copper players dies suddenly from the rainbow door, splitting in half. Confounded by the rainbow door, the players conjecture that it might be even more potent than the golden one. Though the doorknob belongs to Subaru, they fervently try to reach it. Originally resigned to death minutes before, the main character now finds the rainbow door to represent his second opportunity. This is his chance to recover all taken from him: his honor, reputation, prestige, authority, and dignity. Driven to grab his chance, Subaru passes the rainbow door, leaving the shocked copper players powerless to see the insect they tormented vanish into the future. From the other side of the door, Subaru finds the rainbow door's trial under progress. After passing the rainbow door, Subaru discovers he is in an unfamiliar area. Before him sits someone with human-like arms and legs, but an eyeless face. With a wave of its palm, the creature known as Vanquish heals Subaru's wounded heart, lungs, and legs. The main guy gets up and looks at the figure as strength bursts back into his body. But the lad withdraws in terror as soon as he locks eyes, or rather, the lack of eyes, with the entity. Subaru fast remembers crossing the door, which has now sent him into this other world. The knowledge sinks in. His trial is about to start. The narrative veers momentarily back to the Hirosaka interview. Regarding the inside of the trial door, the interviewer probes him. In his case, the interior was a huge medieval fortress built entirely of gold, the player says. He also adds that every door is under control by a ruler, and the player has to get the ruler's permission if he is to pass the trial. The scene opens back at Subaru still within the rainbow door. He sees the creature before him and understands it had to be the ruler of this place. This will be in charge of Subaru's trial. His path has lately really started. Within the rainbow door, Subaru remembers what Hirosaka said regarding the trial. Though the thing before him looks terrible, he understands he has to assault the king to show himself. Subaru pauses, not sure how he might possibly strike a hit. Seeing his quiet, the door owner asks him why he isn't getting ready to fight. Subaru answers tensely that he is good, but the king orders him to begin the trial right away. Having never heard of the rainbow door before, Subaru wonders about its nature. Unimpressed by his hesitancy, Vanquish shows his great might with a quick motion that terrors Subaru. This makes the poor lad question his own capacity to even touch the king. The monarch starts to wonder how someone so insecure could have been selected for this position when he orders Subaru to strike once more. His legs quiver. Vanquish orders Subaru to pick one and battle after throwing numerous swords near him, therefore pushing him ahead. He gives the little lad options: fight and prove yourself. Then, walk through the door behind him back to his former life. Shaken and overwhelmed, Subaru grabs the doorknob to go, but the ruler stops him just as he starts to turn it. Vanquish finds it perplexing that Subaru, who once yearned for change and power, is now ready to go back to the exact life he sought to flee. The ruler's intervention pushes the lad to face his own uncertainty and anxiety. Overcome by his anxiety, the protagonist chooses to flee the trial by twisting the doorknob. Disappointed by the boy's withdrawal, the king labels him an insect. Subaru remembers all the times he was harassed and demeanored under that word, hence it sets a nerve. His hidden anger erupts, and he starts furiously yelling his grievances by pounding on the door. Confronting Vanquish, the king, the main character charges him with cruelty and hubris for abusing his authority to ridicule and devaluate him. The door owner's smile aggravates Subaru even more. Driven by hate and defiance, Subaru gives Vanquish all his force. The effect has a strong, unvarnished vitality. Vanquish notes the strike and assures Subaru he passed the trial, therefore transforming his wrath into power. Vanquish approaches Subaru and bites his shoulder out of unexpected force, giving the lad his own. Subaru suffers great suffering from the bite, and in reprisal he bites Vanquish back, finishing the transfer. Vanquish said Subaru formally became a player after passing the tests. Vanquish introduces himself and gives Subaru assurance they would cross paths once more. Subaru gets a warning saying he has level 1 blood mold skill and the door will vanish in 30 seconds. Fear overcomes him as the floor under him starts to give way and trash falls all around. He struggles to get moving and knows he has to flee fast. The copper-ranked gamers outside the door see the rainbow door disintegrating. Assume Subaru fails the trial, they mock him and label him a loser. Subaru opens out from the falling door just as they are laughing. As a player, Subaru steps out of the rainbow door with his eyes ablaze with vivid rainbow colors that enthrall the 2 copper-ranked players standing nearby. The players are startled to find him walking out of the door alive. As one of the players, Sawatari, charges the main character of grabbing the door's opportunity, their disbelief swiftly shifts to hostility. Driven by wrath, Sawatari charges at him hoping to strike. Surprising everyone, Subaru deftly avoids the attack and moves with almost perfect accuracy as though the surroundings had slowed down. Sawatari swings constantly, but Subaru easily avoids every strike. The fight veers sharply when the just-surfaced athlete snatches Sawatari's hand mid-swing, totally stopping his momentum. Frustration boiling over Sawatari throws a punch squarely at the face of the main character. Subaru feels just a slight sting even though she braced for impact. Startled, the lad finds a brilliant screen immediately before him. It shows an HP gauge that reveals his vitality at 155, 173 following the punch. According to the screen, he will get comatose if his HP falls 0. Understanding this, Subaru knows he must defend himself and battle deliberately to keep HP. Subaru sees the world as though it were a game for the first times. From the brilliant HP bar to the comprehensive menu, everything seems weird but also empowering. He starts to understand that this is how athletes see their environment and that he now really fits in this field. Additionally, seeing Subaru's change are Sawatari and his friend. Sawatari finds great frustration in seeing Subaru is now a full-fledged competitor. Furious at his inability to damage someone he judged inferior, he calls for Red Rose, his most strong ability. Subaru gets ready as Sawatari launches yet more, this attack with considerably more force. Though Subaru uses his arms to deflect it, the hit shakes him since the force is immense. Though he expects to die and worries the worst, he loses just a fraction of his HP instead. Examining the brilliant screen in front of him, he discovers his vitality has plummeted from 121, 173, and begins to feel panic. Should he continue to score hits like this, his HP will soon 0, hence rendering his defeat. Sawatari, however, is taken aback. His forceful Red Rose strike hardly affected Subaru's vitality, strong enough to smash a car. He is disturbed by this disclosure. His friend, seeing the seriousness of the matter, exhorts Sawatari to flee. He informs him the rainbow door's strength might even be higher than that of a gold door. But driven by pride and concern for Subaru's future, Sawatari is not going to back down. Fearing he might gain stronger later on, he advises him they should kill him while he is still at level 1. Subaru knows their terrible intention and chooses to go away as they quarrel. But Sawatari's comrade employs an ash-wired ability before he can get away, catching Subaru in indestructible metallic-like wires. Trapped and paralyzed, Subaru stares in terror as Sawatari closes in, sword raised, poised for the last strike. Desperate ideas drive Subaru. Though he is aware he must employ a talent to save himself, he is not sure how. Something innate within Subaru turns on as Sawatari lunges at him. 4 swords suddenly show up from his body to create a shielding covering. Surprisingly everyone, including Subaru himself, the sword stops Sawatari's attack. This inadvertent ability saves him, demonstrating that the rainbow door's offer of power could be more strong than he could have ever dreamed. Subaru muses of deploying blood mold on Sawatari but decides against it. Angry, he yells for assistance to Vanquish. Vanquish shows up shortly warning him that this will be his last time helping him. Blood mold, he says. Lets Subaru control the blood status for 10 seconds. Furthermore, he discloses that his own blood forms the sword Subaru uses. Vanquish encourages Subaru to focus his hate as a weapon against his opponent and to work out the rest on his own. Vanquish fades then, and Subaru's blades vanish. Sawatari grabs the chance to attack once more with his knife. The main character barely avoids, but his opponent is unrelenting and charges him of stealing their door and killing their comrade. Subaru argues he protects himself as they aim to murder him first, why everything happened. Sawatari spits back angrily, asserting that none of this would have occurred if Subaru had simply passed death and their friend would still be alive. These comments set off a strong hate in him that drives his will to battle. Both warriors charge one other. Sawatari attacks first, but Subaru responds with a strong blow, breaking his opponent's blade. Subaru strikes Sawatari with all his might after shattering his sword. Before smashing the opponent back down to the ground with a great crash, the attack's force launches him skyward. One of Sawatari's pals lifts him up and carries him far before Subaru can follow up. It's wire. The friend considers shock as they flee. With one hit, Subaru has sapped all of Sawatari's HP. This insight makes clear that the Rainbow Door's strength exceeds that of the Golden Door rather significantly. The fact that Subaru is still a level 1 player is even more startling. Subaru stands in the aftermath. The adrenaline still coursed through him. He first really understands the scope of his acquired authority. He has defeated a tough opponent, and the win makes him both relieved and determined. The police show up to a dismal scene following morning, sliced cleanly in half. A copper player discovered laying in the middle of the roadway. The terrible accuracy of the act baffles them, since it doesn't seem like something a person could have accomplished. Some people believe it could be the output of a monster. Hirasaka shows up to the scene among their perplexity. Calm but alert, he tells the police he checked the area completely and turned up no evidence pointing to the presence of an underworld creature. Grateful for his help, the cops welcome his knowledge. Examining the body more closely, they come onto the registration card for the copper player Kunisaki Shutaru. The expression of Hirasaka darkens. Only someone with at least a silver player's strength could be able to precisely slice a copper player in two. The awareness troubles him profoundly. His mind keeps one name, and he questions whether he may indeed be behind it. But Hirasaka writes off the idea right away. Now is not the moment for inner turmoil or mistrust. Clearly, the priority is, once the sky clock strikes 0, identify the offender and demolish as many doors as you can. Taiga surprises himself when he gets to Subaru's cage-like chamber. She is not there. Almost morning, and the lack feels odd. He grabs his phone to see whether Subaru has read his last message, and a flutter of discomfort sets in. A startling news alert shows on the screen as he unlocks his phone. 2 hours ago, another player killed a copper player. Taiga freezes, incredulity fixed on the alert. Who could have done something so heinous? He wonders. Then the bits start to fit as he reads more. Among the 3 who had bullied Subaru, one is the dead player. Taiga gets the awareness like a punch to the gut. Subaru led this behind. Scenes. Fury flares inside him, sharp and scorching. Should Subaru already be a player, he has entered a world Taiga sought to protect him from. He gets annoyed thinking of Subaru straying that line. Subaru, meanwhile, is in Shinagawa City, facing the Japan Players Federation's main office. This esteemed company controls all gates showing up in Japan and handles new player registration. Here feels strange for Subaru. He is both in awe and excited when he sees seasoned players strolling boldly across the busy hallways. A happy female welcomes the group of upcoming players and motivates them to register at the new member registration counter. She outlines the guidelines. In Japan, invading gates without a registered membership in the Federation is against law. Only by crossing the gates and conquering their trials can players level up. Registering is not only a need for everyone hoping to become stronger, it's the initial phase toward releasing their potential. Subaru's thoughts stray to the recent murder of the copper player within this humming surroundings. The incident has turned into a well-publicized case, and rules state only another player has the power to look at such crimes. Given its gravity, a gold player will be assigned to solve it virtually certainly. The likelihood disturbs Subaru. Should Taiga discover the truth, Subaru is aware he will be in great risk. He understands that his only chance of escape is to swiftly become stronger. Leveling will come from clearing as many doors as he can. Should Taiga discover the truth, Subaru pledges to be ready. He will need the power not only to survive, but also to meet Taiga squarely. The receptionist smiles at Subaru at the registration counter and starts going over the essentials. Rules he already knows from his late-night internet cafe research. She gently explains that clearing gates allows players to level up. The complexity of a gate is indicated by its star count. Clearing a gate gives players stars worth money. He recalls a star he turned over yesterday. One Sawatari dropped as his friend carried him off. Having no name for money, he chooses to gamble. Desperate but reluctant, Subaru presents the star to the receptionist and asks whether he can swap it for money. His cheeks turn red with humiliation. Selling a star is like owning his breakthrough. But the response of the receptionist is not what he anticipated. Her eyes enlarge with astonishment as she studies the star. Where did he find the star, she asks him. Surprised, Subaru stumbles for a response and informs her he only started playing and cleared a gate. The receptionist informs him he committed a major error since it is forbidden to clear a gate before he starts playing. 1 million yen or possibly 5 years in jail might follow from it. As Subaru understands the seriousness of his mistake, panic starts. The scene changes to a busy police station as Taiga, among Japan's 7 gold-ranked players, enters. Heads turn quickly at his commanding presence, and the reception desk officer is clearly surprised. Why he is here? The officer probes him. Taiga wastes no time in politeness. He came here to look at yesterday's well-publicized murder. He asks to have access to the proof with a serious look, stating he needs to confirm something significant. Thanks to the receptionist's friendliness, Subaru also manages to swap his star for money. She sends him 1 million yen and breaks the regulations, just this one. 1 star is worth 100,000 yen, according to Subaru. 5 stars could bring a startling 10 million yen. Driven by this insight, he sets out to pursue his aspirations and exert great effort to level off. Subaru rewards himself to a much-needed change with his increasing riches. He goes to a barbershop, losing his shaggy, messy style for a neat, fresh one. He then treats himself to branded clothing and visits a small cafe to savor a costly caramel macchiato. Subaru settles back and savors the basic delight of drinking coffee in fashionable attire first in his life. The sweet, warm drink makes him cry. He has not had something this consoling in so very long. He savors the moment, memories of his past running back. His goals buried under their expectations. He remembers the unrelenting years of labor for his brother and parents like a slave. But today, he experiences the weight of freedom lifting for the first time. Though Subaru soon gets his focus back, the sensation is seductive. This is only the start. He is resolved to get back for another cup of coffee, but only after clearing a gate. His assignment awaits. Subaru dreams about his future and then finds Taiga looming over him, his face flaming with rage. Taiga catches Subaru by the collar and pulls him out onto the street before he can respond. Though Subaru resists cowering, the tension is stifling. Drawing on his blood mold talent, he forms a thick rope from his blood. Swiftly tying 3 adjacent trucks together with the blood rope, he intends to throw them at Taiga in a last-ditch counteraction. Subaru's eyes meet a terrified mother clutching her child near as he gets ready to strike. Terraced by the turmoil playing out before them, they stand still. Subaru pauses, waiting for them to reach safety. But the valuable seconds pass, and before he realizes it, the 10-second restriction of his blood mold skill runs out. The rope melts into nothingness, leaving Subaru defenseless against Taiga's fury. Taiga now knows he's a player. Subaru's secret is out. Taiga sees burning wrath as he charges towards Subaru. Being a level 1 player, Subaru understands the unlikely chances he has against one of the top gold-ranked players in the nation. Still, something fires inside him, and he gets ready to face his worst anxiety. Traffic gets choked by the brothers' conflict. Inquiring about what is happening, a woman seated in her automobile questions a stranger. He advises her to get out of her car and flee away since the gold-ranked athlete is on a frenzy. Now both of the brothers are face to face. Taiga is asked by Subaru about his location knowledge. The man strikes instead of responding to him. The MC understands he must have figured it out on his phone using the GPS. Now, though, it makes not much difference. Taiga warns him he is going to die and employs his golden arm ability. Suddenly closing his eyes, Subaru tries to reach Vanquish. Mana allows him skillful manipulation of blood. Hence, if he gets carried away, he will dry all of his madness in no time. For the time, Subaru doesn't give a damn about any of those. He has just to consider survival. Taiga strikes his golden arm straight ahead towards our lad without warning, but he avoids it. He understands he has to figure out how to apply his capacity for blood mold. Taiga shows behind him and launches another assault before he can even set foot. Subaru seldom finds a way off of the path. Should he get once, he will die. Taiga becomes somewhat irritated and labels him pathetic for applying such a talent. He considers himself to just need to catch him down. But Subaru abruptly covers in a crimson smoke. Appearing behind his brother, he fuels himself with his hate. His attack still lacks force, hence he damages his own wrist. This was the identical attack that knocked Sawatari down in one blow. It had no impact on his brother. Taiga strikes him while still in agony, virtually draining practically all of his health. Subaru still feels ready to keep on. Using his smoke, he blinds Taiga and strikes him with the toughest blood he can produce. He is surprised since it has no effect on the gold ranking. He seems to be on an entirely other level than him. Subaru comes to see he cannot surpass his brother no matter what he does. Taiga understands he has to kill him right now since allowing him to level up would lead to issues down road. Though he strikes him as hard as he can, shockingly, Subaru is not harmed. Looking down, he discovers an airbag composed of blood. At least this is his impression of it. Actually, Subaru has produced a sticky material out of blood. Taiga makes all efforts to get it off his hands, but fails. Blood mold lasts for 10 seconds, hence Subaru understands he has to give it his best and not consider his mana. He generates numerous more bubbles and sends them all at his brother. Taiga questions him sharply whether he truly believes he has won. Our lad tells him he hardly gives complaining any thought. He only wants to survive, thus he will be successful in that. He covers his whole body with sticky blood, using whatever mana he has left, and uses a rope to get out. He produces a smoke screen once the skill ends so Taiga cannot follow after him. Taiga pledges to seek down and take his life and is practically boiling over that he let him go. He feels suddenly surrounded by an overpowering presence. Then he sees the top 3 gold-ranking athletes approaching him. He tells them he has no time to explain what he is doing, but he gets bound by some golden chains before he can leave any place. Taiga finds it hard to believe he is the top gold-rank player sought for. Pointing his sword at him, Hirosaka claims they are controlling him. Our lad is nearly dead in meantime. His mana left is 2, his health is 5. He knows he is dead if he finds his brother again as he cannot strike a single hit on him. Besides, his garments are ripped up. The rest of them are at the cafe. He understands he has to struggle and get stronger if he is to win freedom. Groups of gamers quarrel with a girl about the gate's reserve somewhere else. She tries to inform them she already reserved the gate, but they ignore her. She smiles and gets ready to remind them who she actually is, as things starts to become rather hot. Sayaka is a copper ranking player. As she gets thrashed by the group, we then witness the lads jeers her. She informs them she is at level 8 when they ask her for her level. She couldn't even beat the guy who wrecked her alone. He is level 13. Since it is about the survival of the fittest, another urges her to simply provide them the gate. She tells them she already knows it, and this is precisely why she cannot afford to lose to them. She stands her position. One of them gets interrupted as he gets about to attack her by a voice. Arriving on the scene, Subaru asks them whether survival of the fittest is guiding their decision about who gets inside the door. He gently asks whether he can also accompany them. Furious, the man tries to shove him aside. Subaru drops the man to the ground right away with his talent. He seems serious and advises them he has to get stronger right away. He also reports to them that he is level 1. Hearing this, the guys believe they can bring him on based only on their statistical differential. Subaru has been battling top gamers all this time, hence these guys seem to him to be overly slow. He keeps violently pounding them down. The last person grabs a gun using one of his talents. He tries to shoot him, but Subaru's blood mold ability lets him just block the bullets. He then goes on to trash this man also. Sayaka is standing there in awe, wondering who he is in meantime. Given his abilities, she wonders he must be at the gold rank. Walking into the door, sporting his hoodie, Subaru undresses one of the men. He has already pilfers her door before she can understand what is occurring. He finds it fantastic, as this is his first time through a door. Sayaka opens the gate suddenly and walks in from behind. She locks the door right away after she gets in, so preventing their escape without running against the manager. She laughs cruelly and says the guys outside won't be able to enter even after waking up. Subaru stands there uneasily in meantime. She contends that she originally reserved it for herself, even though he claims he won the door fair and square. The website lists all the doors, which players might reserve. He informs her he's first time through the gate and apologizes to her. He asks if she will let him settle it with her. He has to level up and depart right away. She let him as he assisted her. More crucially though, since she understands what it feels like to strive for strength, they strike an agreement to divide the award 70 to 32 Ys. He tells her he is vanquished, since he is accused of killing a gamer, so he does not want her his actual name. A stone flies at her, as she is eagerly getting ready to open the gate. Though Subaru tries to warn her, she blocks the strike right away. Arriving within the gate are the adversaries. Sayaka urges him to let her manage things in beams. Thanks to their enhanced physical powers and talents given by the doors, the players can fight the underworld creatures. Subaru wonders as the girl keeps defeating the creatures. She turns around and asks him what he thinks after putting every creature to sleep. She boldly claims that her ability is known as Instant Void, which lets her strike any opponent 3 times to stun them. She is fantastic in close quarters but not in long-range battles. All the beasts wake suddenly once more. She forgot to finish them during the 3 seconds she could merely shock them with. She starts shouting for aid, but our lad is still following her directions. He understands that her capacity likewise has a temporal span akin to blood mold. She is in the way, hence he chooses to utilize something else instead of his blades. Subaru generates lengthy, robust ropes with his blood mold ability. Tightening till they suffocate and fall, the cords circle the necks of the beasts. Subaru levels off and turns into a level 4 player once every enemy is vanquished. His blood mold skill also gets better. It lasts 15 seconds. His HP and MP are totally restored. His taiga wounds heal entirely. Sayaka, who just knows Subaru under the name Vanquish, finds his might astounding. Subaru compliments her return performance, but she downplays her own. She receives advice from him. Maintaining an advantage, use her instant void ability every 3 seconds in one-on-one fights. Sayaka understands this approach might make her almost unbeatable. Not too long later, they come upon other life, hidden in a nearby creek. Sayaka advances, aiming one monster and using Subaru's guidance. She simply rules it with exact time. Inspired, she brings out the other concealed species and begins to eliminate one at a time. Sayaka manages the lesser foes when a large man walks in. Boss. Joined with a level 12 large kobold, this is a level 17 goblin chief. Sayaka should keep battling the others, Subaru advises, while he confronts the boss by himself. Employing a level 2 ability known as Forage, the two foes charge towards Subaru. Though Subaru shielded himself with a blood shield, the forceful attack might have been fatal. His enhanced ability is really strong, which helps him to survive the hit. Sayaka keeps killing the lesser demons in meantime. She not even gives joining Subaru in the battle against the boss any thought. Given such a strong silver-class archer opponent, her level 8 talents appear negligible to her. While the kobold depends on quick attack and hit, Subaru battles against the boss using long-range archer skills. The unrelenting mix renders Subaru unable to launch a solid counteroffensive. Then the boss uses a strong attack known as Perforation, which can cut even Subaru's blood shield. Trapped in the strike, Subaru is ready for the worst. Sayaka suddenly shows up and squarely punches the kobold in the face. Shockingly Subaru, she employs her instant void ability. It soon becomes evident since it only works with a 3-level difference. Sayaka leveled out after defeating every other monster. Seizing the moment, Subaru creates a blood rope to fast kill the kobold and tie it off. The triumph brings him back to a level 6 player, totally recovering his HP and MP. Subaru concentrates on the goblin chief since the kobold is gone. Forming a blood hand, he strikes the archer's face to kill the boss with one hit. Subaru levels up once more as the boss falls, boosting his blood mold skill length to 20 seconds with increased effectiveness. Together with Sayaka, Subaru opens his first gate. After clearing the gate, Subaru and Sayaka have only 30 seconds to go before it collapses. Surprised to see the pair come out so fast, the bully players wait outside. Usually taking at least 2 hours, clearing a 2-star gate only takes Subaru and his friend 15 minutes. Reversing the sky, clock a vital process, keeping the planet from Indinguses the remaining time from the gate. Everyone is aware that if the clock runs 0, the planet would fall apart. Only players may stretch time by clearing gates. Originally unfriendly, the bullies now wow me. The accomplishment astounds them, since they understand the gate could only be cleared by someone of level 9 or above. They praise Subaru for his fortitude and head off without argument. Subaru is surprised by their abrupt behavior, but his friend says they most likely fear his power now. As a prize, the team gets 2 stars. Sayaka becomes dubious about Subaru's identity when he advises her redeem them under her name. She later inquires whether Vanquish is his actual name while commemorating their achievement in a cafe. She also wonders why he has such amazing ability as a level 1 player, but she makes clear she is not evaluating. She only asks questions. Saying she is appreciative of Subaru for saving her, Sayaka says she wants to clear future gates together as partners. Subaru tells his real name and accepts to travel alongside her on next missions. When he tells Sayaka about what happened over the past 2 days, she understands his circumstances is worse than she had thought. She notes Subaru has to get more powerful to confront Taiga, his stepbrother. She tells her own narrative next. Her 2 sisters play at the silver level. Once on the same team, they kicked her since she was weaker. She is now resolved to disprove them by growing stronger. Having common hardships and aspirations, the 2 decide to support one another in reaching their targets. The scenario then moves to Hirasaka and the other gold rank players at the headquarters. They have limited taiga, which results in a deplete of gold players required to pass 5-star gates. To support these high-level challenges, Hirasaka advises including players with copper rankings. He tells the gathering Tokyo has 7 5-star gates right now. all of which demand quick attention. Leading level 38 player Hizaki Julieta of Team Julieta reveals that she will handle the gates in Meguro City among top-ranking players. Sayaka and Subaru run into the silver-ranked squad at the headquarters. Ask Sayaka about their goal. She tells Subaru to keep concentrated on booking their next gate and redeeming their stars. They coincidentally select a gate in Meguro City, the exact location Team Julieta is traveling to. Their destination is a 2-star gate at the top of a stairway. Sayaka covers in Subaru's lap, blood-stained, with severe injuries. Subaru's wrath is evident as he secretly promises to wipe out whoever harmed her. The scene moves to the pair headed approaching their recently reserved gate. When Subaru probes regarding their nature, Sayaka says they can enter and leave without restriction as long as the gate stays unlocked from the inside. When they arrive to the entrance, Sayaka's aptitudes are clearly suited for a large spiral staircase. Leading the climb, she starts the search by Subaru locking the gate behind them. Skeletal foes show up from below the stairway as soon as the hunt starts. At the bottom, Subaru spots a menacing light he believes to be belonging to the boss. Thousands of bones start crawling upward. First lunging at Sayaka, Subaru shields her with his blood. She responds, fast striking the skeleton to knock it down. Both understand they have to destroy every single one before they can go, since the locked gate indicates the foes are all above level 10. Taking front stage in defense, Subaru tells Sayaka to concentrate on one-by-one enemy strikes. Subaru senses the boss is significantly more strong than their past opponent. Subaru advises splitting their work for rest, but she says leveling up rejuvenates her and reduces the need for breaks. She exhorts Subaru to fight till he too levels up. Inspired, the main guy launches a blood tide from his MP across the stairway, capturing thousands of skeletons in one attack. Sayaka grabs the chance and levels up to 14, killing several enemies within the tide. Subaru moves forward to complete the remaining skeletons as the numbers are declining. His constant work results in level 16. Sayaka compliments his abilities, but as she says, a skeleton slinks up behind her. Subaru gets it down quickly. Both agree that they can reach the lowest floor, progressively rising their levels at their present speed. Subaru's misgivings about the boss get more pronounced as they fall. Sayaka has leveled up to 20, and the main character has achieved level 19 by the time they arrive to the ground floor. At last they meet the boss, a tall, level 29 skeleton called the late Empress Judith. Her unpredictable motions and long-range strikes make her a terrifying opponent. Subaru sees he has to lead this battle. Though Subaru shields Judith from her punches with his blood, Judith keeps hitting non-stop. Soon they understand they cannot approach her as long as the attacks keep on. The main character begins to question if his blood mold ability may be useful against Judith, since she seems to be depending on her MP to power these actions. He decides to use blood mold instead of Sayaka's instantaneous vacuum, based on the great degree of discrepancy. Subaru glances at his friend and considers their pledge to get stronger together before acting. Should he defeat Judith alone, Sayaka will not acquire the experience points required to remain equally matched. He informs her he will concentrate on stopping the boss's strikes, so allowing her opportunity to strike. Subaru confines Judith with blood mold, therefore locking her in place. This opens a path for Sayaka, who strikes Judith in the face fast and precisely. Subaru tells her the blood mold will dissipate in 5 seconds, even though she assaults constantly. Just as the skill concludes, she withdraws. Judith responds by attacking her. Sayaka is saved right away as Subaru blocks it with his blood shield. The couple keep using this approach, but as they keep on, Judith spoke, stunning them both. The manager probes aloud where Subaru picked up such a talent. Her voice is low, terrifying, and incredulous. Furious by the idea, she charges him of having authority from someone called Vanquish. Judith changes into an even more horrible beast using all her MP. Though the strain is great, Judith throws a strong wave of energy that Subaru blocks with his MP. The MP of the main character runs fast. Hence he is left without option than to call off the battle right away. Driven, Subaru turns his blood into a lance and charges squarely. Judith falls, defeated, the spear piercing her clean. While his friend earns crucial experience points also, he levels up to 21. Subaru can't, however, ignore the ramifications of Judith's comments. Knowing Vanquish suggests these underground leaders are connected to the gate owners. Subaru swears to learn more the next time. They realize something is awry just as they start to unwind. They have not gotten the alert on the unlock of the gate. Their wondering about whether they have been caught causes anxiety. Then a shimmering rainbow door appears before them. Though astonished, Sayaka assures Subaru that this is a Trial Dora rare event whereby players pick up fresh abilities upon completion. The top-ranked gold player, she notes, has become almost flawless by clearing 7 doors. Subaru opens the door driven by ambition and curiosity. Attack strikes suddenly the moment it opens. Subaru's arm is cut, and his buddy falls hard to the ground. Startled and angry, he turns to see someone standing there at the door. Not Vanquish this time. He runs to Sayaka's side and finds her bleeding profoundly. The man at the door calls him a bug and laughs at him. Driven by rage, Subaru promises to wipe out this fresh enemy. Approaching forward, the assailant introduces himself as Carrion, the ghoul king among Vanquish's subordinates. The fight is hardly done. Shocked to find such an opponent before him, Subaru is up against Lord Vanquish's subordinate. Reacting fast, he tries to get in touch to Vanquish and let him know his subordinate is assaulting. Vanquish, however, disappears without answering, astounds him. This further perplexes him. The subordinate clarifies that the Lord Vanquish he feels is not real. It is only a mechanism of the blood mold technique. He also says that he has to damage his body if he is to finish the trial. Subaru jumps at him without thinking before the subordinate can even complete speaking. But Carrion easily and far too quickly avoids his attack. Should he be successful in conquering the ordeal, he will acquire one of Lord Vanquish's most prized possessions, the Heavenly Chisel. Ignoring the words of the subordinate, he strikes violently with his blood whip. The power of his onslaught really strikes the subordinate. He is sure, nevertheless, the protagonist won never catch him. He says he has been watching him all along with Lord Vanquish, and is aware of his special capacity to copy and adapt the fighting techniques of his adversaries. Driven by the need to save his wounded friend, Subaru keeps on and challenges the subordinate to meet him head-on rather than evading. Accepting the challenge, the subordinate fights straightforwardly. He slashes Subaru in the face as though his blood armor were paper. Blood spills from his face as he lowers to his knees. Carrion twos him, saying his blade is invincible since it carries Lord Vanquish's own essence. He feels blood strikes him from below, while the subordinate mocks him. Laughing, he understands Subaru stretched his blood whip under his feet. This fascinates him even more. Though he admits he could be a fighter, he quickly reacts and strikes his stomach with great force. Subaru is front stage. Later on, the subordinate launches him many meters away using his blood technique. Carrion chastises the MC as he lays on the ground, questioning whether he really believed the trial was a farce. Still, our lad rises once more with blood streaming from his damaged face. Driven by his will to save his comrade, he creates fresh blood armor with his blood mold method. Using his hate as sheer power, he starts yet another onslaught. The subordinate battles to land a critical strike, although his pace is still unparalleled even with his will to win. Carrion easily cuts off one of his arms as they are still battling, passing through his armor as if it were nothing. Still, our lad shocks him with his blood technique reattaching his severed arm. Though briefly startled, the subordinate keeps his unrelenting attack, dismembering him repeatedly. Though his body is severely strained, Subaru reattaches his limbs with his blood mold method every time. As his mana runs low with every reattachment, the subordinate understands his unrelenting attempts are driving him toward collapse. Impressed at the MC's readiness to give his life to win the fight, he starts to giggle. Carrion remembers a talk on Subaru's stubbornness with Lord Vanquish. He had the audacity to bite him back, even though he was in excruciating pain and had little chances. This reminiscence causes him to giggle and starts him to respect his savagery. Carrion tells him he has started to like him and chuckles back in the present, but he gets scared when he stares at his face. Now nearly out of control, Subaru uses his last effort to master his blood mold technique and construct a blood lance. He leaps forward without thinking, trying to pierce the subordinate straightforwardly. He is finishing him off at once at this point, not even bothering to cause a wound. Subaru halves Carrion, yet unexpectedly Carrion does not die. Rather, he wonders whether Subaru truly believes he can skip grades by killing him and chuckles. Subaru flashes at him and snaps, ordering him to just hurry on and die. Desperate to bring his pal Sayaka to the hospital, he cannot do so until he leaves the fence. Time runs differently within and outside the gate, hence Carrion sighs and advises Subaru not to panic. Then, because his mana pool is almost depleted, he asks Subaru how he intends to survive. Subaru responds he doesn't know another way he could surpass him. His sole option was this. Simply said, he wishes to save Sayaka before passing away. Hearing this, Carrion becomes irritated and probes if Subaru is in love with the girl. Starting to cry, Subaru disputes it, claiming it's not about love. Sayaka is the first friend he has ever made in his whole life. He promised her he never would desert her. Carrion goes quiet while the words pound him. He recalls how Vanquish promised not to abandon or turn on him, and how he was saved when younger. Carrion apologies to Subaru after seeing his error. Then he gives Subaru the Divine Chisel and best ability for skipping grades. Uncertain, Subaru asks Carrion why he is giving him all this if he is going to anyhow. Carrion informs him he closed the gate successfully after Subaru beat him. Subaru recovers all of his health and mana and levels up. Carrion tells Lord Vanquish he is an underground monster, same sort as him. He tells Subaru something crucial even though he thinks he has not much time left to explain. He can employ a talent known as Blood Usurper on a companion should they pass away. Standing there perplexed and not sure what Blood Usurper even entails is Subaru. Carrion orders Subaru to remember his words before vanishes. The search of the gate finishes, and Subaru leaves Sayaka. He understands he merely cleared a 2-star mission. Subaru doesn't give a damn while the sky clock counts down the last of the time. He grabs his phone right away to arrange for an ambulance to help Sayaka. Elsewise, a group of heroes battles off creatures in a 5-star gate. Mr. Shulieta stares in dread as his crew members pass one by one, guiding the gate. They are under attack from a level 59 sky whale using forceful water balls. Shulieta begins to have anxiety. Not yet, this isn't even the primary boss. Pointing out that they cannot leave unless most of their company dies, one of the surviving heroes asks him what their next action is. Thinking his own life is considerably more vital, Shulieta glares at him and stabs him in the head without thinking twice. Then a notification flashes suddenly. Most players in the group have passed away. Realizing he may now leave the gate, Shulieta starts giggling. The last gamers yell at him, pleading with him not to forsake them and claiming the whale will find its way into the actual world. Ignoring them, Shulieta commands them to drive the thing away while he flees. Shulieta gets a signal that all of his group members have perished as he is fleeing the gate. The whale strikes him with great force before he can respond. He starts to cry when he understands the gamers couldn't stop the whale. Now headed toward the city, the enormous beast has escaped the gate. Doctors often Sayaka as Subaru looks over her in the real world. He gets a notification out of nowhere. The 5-star hunt came up short. Still, the search had 5,837 hours left. All of this time, nevertheless, was subtracted from the sky clock as a penalty. Right now, the timer displays just 49 days remaining. Hearing Shulieta scream in the distance helps Subaru make sense of everything. Screaming for aid, Shulieta bursts into the hospital. Desperate for a car, he tries to have a doctor drive him away. Declaring his life is more vital as he is a silver level, he yells at them to leave Sayaka. Trying to stop Shulieta, Subaru moves forward and lays a hand on her shoulder. Furious and seeking to discover what Subaru is trying to achieve, Shulieta turns around. The huge whale comes closer meanwhile, its shadow blackening the heavens. The Player Federation alerts Meguro City residents about the subterranean creature that recently broke out from the gate. The Federation is trying furiously to evacuate every inhabitant. The threat level is rated as 5 stars. As they flee in an ambulance, Subaru passes his friend Sayaka to the physicians. This infuriates Shulieta since she intends to kill Subaru. Subaru starts pounding Shulieta mercilessly, right away using his blood armor technique to build a suit of armor. Subaru begs to know whether the whale is just aiming for him once he has been restrained. Startled by Subaru's great might, Shulieta notes that underworld creatures only target the area inside the barrier. Subaru analyzes this data and understands that the whale won't cease attacking this territory as long as Shulieta is living. Driven to stop the menace here and now, Subaru probes Shulieta on the whale's powers. The creature can call out water and launch laser beams, Shulieta says. Subaru fast lifts his blood shield to deflect the strong laser as the whale charges its next assault. Even Shulieta is startled since the attacks of the whale may pass even shields of silver class. Subaru recognizes a chance to battle without restraint as the whale hangs in the air. With his blood fist attack, he leaps into the heavens and strikes the whale, although the impact is not very great. The loud roar of the whale breaks the glass of surrounding houses. Realizing this underground beast is far tougher than he had anticipated, Subaru falls back on the ground. Resolved, he pulls his heavenly sword and channels 1/3 of his mana into one forceful blow. Subaru intercepts and eliminates the water missiles the whale shoots with his attack. Still, the thing is alive. Subaru must stop the whale since it starts preparing another laser. Should the whale fire, the whole city might be annihilated. He strikes another terrible blow without thinking twice, using another 1/3 of his mana. He finishes the whale this time as well. the creature falls, and the water it called drops to the ground like rain. Startled, the people turn back to see someone have defeated the underworld thing. Seeing in amazement whether Subaru is the new gold rank player, Julieta questions herself. But since the whale was slain beyond the gate, Subaru loses any levels in trying to defeat it. Still, he has relieved the city and its inhabitants are secure. Considering Sayaka, he heads right away to see her. An elderly man captures on camera his valiant deeds in meantime. The doctors are occupied at the hospital working on Sayaka. The protagonist tries to reach her anxiously since her condition seems serious. One tear comes down from her eye. The scenario moves to the mortuary, where Subaru looks one last time at his companion Sayaka. Grieved too much, he lowers to his knees and starts to blame himself for her death. He decided to bring her on the perilous mission, and now he regrets that error. Though within the grief, he recalls Carrion advised him to utilize the blood usurper skill should one of his companions die. Anger erupts inside him. Desperate, Subaru enters the system menu, quickly looking for the talent. At level 26, he unlocks Parivara, a talent enabling the user to resurrect someone as their kindred within 1 hour of their death. Though the description is evasive, his only hope comes from it. He turns on the talent without thinking twice. As the countdown shows, Sayaka's body starts to alter steadily. Should it come to 0, her chances of rescue will be permanently lost. As the numbers fall, Subaru sees terror. Nothing happens when the timer's 0. He wonders if the ability has failed as panic grips him. 2 girls walk into the room at that exactly moment. Emotional and calling Sayaka their sister, they dash to her body. Seeing these must be her elder and younger sisters, Subaru observes in astonished silence. One of the girls sees him and bolts over, asking who he is. Still crying, Subaru tells Sayaka he was her friend. As she pins him against the wall, she displays wrath in her eyes. She charges him with dragging Sayaka into this mess, then blames him for the death of her sister. Her fury explodes, and she raises a hand to hit him. Sayaka then sits up abruptly before she can, though. She gets up with a grim air. Her look has changed entirely. Her eyes have an unusual intensity, and her clothes seem weird as well. Saying something, Sayaka instructs her sister to let go of Subaru. Then she moves to attack without notice. Subaru grabs her arm swiftly. Her strength shocks him. He knew different Sayaka than this one. Sayaka drops on her knees in apologies, further confusing her sisters. She says Subaru restored her as a kindred using the Parivara ability. She now lives just to follow his orders. She does not remember her former existence. The 2 sisters shrivel in terror and resentment. Once more, they leap at him. Sayaka strides forward, ready to eradicate them in 10 seconds as needed. Panicking, Subaru pauses before she may attack. He dashes away, snatching Sayaka, and confines the sisters using his blood mold technique. Confusion whirls in Subaru's head as he rushes. Sayaka is not at all her previous self. Her personality is lost and her memories vanished. She wants him to let the sisters live, but Subaru knows he needs answers. He has to know what being a kindred actually entails. Subaru's eye is caught outside the structure by a huge screen showing a news report. The broadcast runs mostly on footage of his struggle with the whale, and his face is now all over the city. The whole interaction became viral. 2 players materialize before him before he can register the circumstances. 3rd-ranked gold player Udo is one. 2nd-ranked gold player Shikishima is the other. Though Subaru detects someone even stronger nearby, their presence alone is frightening. The 2 guys call out Hirosaka, who steps forward shortly later, addressing someone off-screen. Hirosaka approaches Subaru with assured smile. He coolly says that Subaru is under investigation for killing a fellow player one who is a classmate he is, well as for demolishing a business property close to Shinagawa City. Hirosaka smiles uneasily and adds he only wants to chat. Subaru most respects him since he is right now the strongest player in Japan. Hirosaka assures him he need not be anxious as his doubts have been allayed. He tells him that this is the first time a rainbow door like that has surfaced in the planet as they all sat in the car. So far, he has surmounted 2 challenges, and even brought his comrade back to life. Subaru validates this and probes him about earlier misgreetings. One of the players throws him a tablet displaying video of him battling the whale. It shows that CCTV footage caught the damage done throughout the shopping center from beginning to end. The video shows him as Taiga's victim, only. Conversely, about the rumors of Kunazaki's murder, they clarify that the door turning people into players appeared and bisected him. 2 other people present had also testified, therefore clearing Subaru of all charges. Subaru is not only no longer under investigation, but also a hero now. News of him destroying an underworld beast coming from a 5-star gate has gone around. After learning Subaru's narrative, Shikishima notes Taiga's enigmatic behavior makes sense now. Taiga stole a door from another player, thereby preventing a second door from showing up, hence only possessing the golden arm ability. This unveiled Taiga's actual motivations. Should it ever resurface, he kept Subaru close to Pilfer's door. The trio descends the headquarters floor and finds Taiga confined in a unique prison meant for renegade players at the 6th basement level. Taiga notices Subaru and lets out enraged grunts. Shikishima informs him they have Subaru's testimony and they may start the inquiry even though he kicks the jail bars. Taiga becomes enraged hearing this and starts to threaten to kill Subaru. Sayaka is interfering. The protagonist stops her. Oddly, he is calm before the horrible and hostile Taiga. Taiga keeps screaming in wrath as they exit the jail. Udo queries Hirosuke about whether it would be smart to let Subaru leave like this. Hirosaki calms him by saying they intend to give Subaru certain rights. Looking at a report on the appearance of a 6-star gate, he considers that they need him to becoming even more powerful. Later on, Subaru visits to trade the 2 stars he discovered on his most recent expedition. The receptionist tells him he would get 300,000 yen for the stars, plus extra Y20 million as a bonus for beating the 5-star underworld creature. She also gives him a card saying that it gives him unique Federation rights, allowing him to utilize various convenience stores and hotels free of cost. As Subaru is digesting all this data, he overhears numerous guys chatting behind him. Having seen him on the viral video, they question about his rank. The receptionist beams and tells Subaru she has let everyone know about his achievements. She then probes him about his intended next action. Subaru starts to question his actual desire since he owns money, celebrity, and power. Taiga causes disturbance again in the jail at the same time. A chick shows up and chains him goldenly. She is Kinokawa, a gold-ranked player with the same receptionist history with Subaru before. Her dexterity lets her gently pin him down. Taiga is startled to learn Subaru has become really strong and muses over his underestimating of him. His wrath intensifies, and he begins to blame the earth. Taiga's wrath rises when a black door starts to grow behind him. The girl freaks Taiga what he just did as the purple door shows behind them. He seems nevertheless equally startled as she does. The door reaches out to him, warning him the world will not select him. A hand invites him in from within the door. Still enmeshed in golden chains, more hands emerge from the gate and start dragging him inside. Using a golden chain, the girl attempts to stop him, but the energy coming from the gate breaks her chains. Her whole body starts to come apart gradually. Taiga is still being lured by the creature inside the door, which promises him power and exhorts him to destroy the planet overall. Subaru is on the ground, lost in contemplation, in a neighboring motel. Sayaka inquires about his thoughts. He is still considering her earlier query on his future direction. Seeing her, he wonders what he should call her, since calling her her true name seems strange. Sayaka advises he just call Saya her. Then he wonders whether there is any possibility she might go back to her former self. Saya requests him to show her his skill window. Seeing that his next ability unlocks at level 35, she says another door is probably going to open at that time. She advises he may ask the entities on the other side of the door whether they could bring his companion back. Appreciative of the council, Subaru chooses to concentrate on leveling up. The two of them get ready right away to pass through a gate. They come at a 3-star gate right next to a store's door. Thank you, Subaru. The owner of the store names him Savior. Looking back, Subaru asks Saya whether she is joining him. She assures him she is his kindred and will be by his side always. Looking at her status pane, Subaru finds she is level 21 and able of applying the blood mold ability. She uses his instead of depending on her own mana though. They run upon several demons inside the gate. Seeking to see her strength, Subaru agrees when Saya requests permission to utilize his mana. Using the blood mold ability, Saya designs a blood round that sweeps all the opponents in one motion. Though Saya notes it's less successful against strong enemies, Subaru understands how valuable her ability is. They eventually run across the manager. Subaru orders Saya to keep back, then quickly kills it with his divine sword. Their 3-star search takes just 10 minutes and 49 seconds. For clearing the task, Subaru's level rises too. They choose to try a 4-star gate, since the 3-star challenge seems overly simple. They hear Shikishima's voice suddenly praising their rapid success. When Subaru questions Shikishima about his activities there, Taiga has fled jail. Furthermore, devastated was Sakura, the 4th-ranked gold player, under control with her golden chains. Shikishima also tells Sakura was working as a receptionist, which surprises Subaru since she never realized she was a player. Shikishima says as they head off that gold players had to band together to clear the gates given the current state of affairs. He offers to team with Subaru, cautions him not to let down. Shikishima thinks Taiga will aim first at Subaru. Shikishima brings Subaru to their first gate confident in their skills, sure they will be able to pass it. Subaru thinks Shikishima's golden procession helps him to shoot invisible fire bullets from his fingers. He is startled to see meteors falling on their foes, though, when he watches Shikishima apply the ability. Although Shikishima eliminates all of the underworld creatures they see in a single attack, they are far from feeble. She makes them seem as mere one-star creatures. Shikishima said following rigorous laws beyond the gates is important for gold players following after the combat. Higher-tier skills might inflict disastrous damage in the actual world, hence they are forbidden from employing talents outside their initial one. He signals Subaru to advance once the opponents have been eliminated. According to Shikishima, the top gold players are titled the Seven Knights, given by the proprietors of their individual doors. Dragoon's incarnation is the one that bestowed Shikishima his abilities. His just utilized skill is Barrage of Dead Flames. Shikishima orders Subaru to begin searching for future gates as they are ready to pass the next one. Then Shikishima clears the gate in just 52 minutes by killing the boss in one attack. The great strength of a gold player shocks Subaru. Shikishima swears that Subaru's task will be the next one. She regrets finishing the gate by herself. A 4-star difficulty rating glass waterfall stage follows as the next gate. The whole ground is covered with ice, which makes mobility challenging. Low-level life forms do not exist in these kinds of environments. Players deal with just one boss. The level 42 class spirit formed like a cat bursts at Subaru right away. Using his heavenly blade, Subaru stops the onslaught. He sees the manager already rejuvenating as he gets ready for a second strike. Subaru pauses since he realizes his heavenly sword runs too low to complete the battle. Shikishima stops Saya as she offers to help him, assuring her he will step in should Subaru be on the brink of failure. He wants Subaru to face the boss alone. Subaru discovers his blood mold ability is unsuitable for the cold ground as he keeps fighting. With few choices, he blindfolds the cat, using his dexterity. Still, the manager keeps an eye on he. The second gold player observing the battle starts to believe Subaru is insufficient experience to manage such a rare and strong boss. Saya assures them nonetheless not to undervalue Subaru. She notes he has already developed a reply. Subaru ties a rope created by his blood technique around the cat. Knowing the boss decides against using the heavenly sword since he lacks joints or ordinary senses, he chooses instead a high-impact strike. Subaru strikes strong blows on the boss using his blood mold ability with the corpse fist spell he acquired from Carry On. He keeps the attack unrelenting until the boss runs low in mana and cannot regenerate. Subaru's capacity for fast trade analysis of the boss and strategic development surprises Shikishima. Subaru's deft mix of two skills really strikes him. Saya grins, glad Shikishima is seeing Subaru's potential. Shikishima notes that both of Subaru and the boss are becoming exhausted as she keeps battling him. Telling Subaru he will buy him some time to land the last blow, he yells to him. Subaru grabs the chance and effectively kills the boss, leveling off right away. Following that, he completes the cat's spirit without any difficulty and closes the whole gate in only 48 minutes. Later on, they go to a sushi restaurant where Subaru fixes glittering eyes on the food. When Shikishima asks him what's wrong, Subaru, looking innocent, admits it's the first time he has ever seen sushi in his life. Saya interacts with the cat spirit Subaru acquired during boss defeat, and meanwhile, whenever necessary, the spirit lets Subaru rebuild the boss using his mana. Shikishima likens it to a cloak that lessens damage taken by 50%, and Hirasaka earrings, which award bonus 150% mana. He says he also received a rewarded celestial sword from conquering Carrion. What use does the cat spirit have, wonders Subaru. Shikishima says it's rare to have an underwater creature summoned and advises naming it. After some thought, Subaru chooses the name Sushi. Suddenly, they hear loud noises from outside as they eat. Emerging from the gate is an underworld creaturia level 54 griffin. Shikishima and Subaru quickly bolt. The griff catches a small child, but Shikishima and Saya stop it as it flies off. Griffin drops the girl gently into his arms as Subaru strikes fast. He sets her softly on the ground. A man lunges forward, yelling the girl's name. Subaru knows him as among the persons who tormented him in his powerlessness. Savatri, the man, proves to be the older brother of the girl. Calling him out, Shikishima asks whether he is the same person who tormented Subaru and demands he thank Subaru for saving his sister. Savatari, though, wanted to show thanks to someone like Subaru. Ignoring her brother, the girl straight thanks Subaru and the others. Savatari chastises her for thanking Subaru, then turns to him and labels him an insect. He makes fun of Subaru, wondering why he is so in a good mood and whether he intends to exact retribution. Subaru is still cool, just grinning in reply. Savatari, who grabs Subaru by the shirt, gets enraged since he wants he had been selected by a stronger door. Uninterested, Subaru says he knows he isn't a killer since he heard Savatari's testimony. He thanks him then leaves without saying anything more. Savatari shocks him there. Shikishima watches and muses on Savatari's eventual understanding of her uniqueness. The three buddies go back to the sushi restaurant and carry on their dinner. The girl queries Savatari about his behavior in meantime. Overwhelmed by his own inadequacy, he reaches for his head. Subaru finds the sushi restaurant shuttered when he gets back the following day. Simultaneously, Savatari removes an old video from his phone showing him harassing Subaru. When one of his buddies wonders whether he actually erased the tape, Savatari says he did. He says he doesn't go into more detail, but it's not out of concern of Subaru wanting retribution. His pal points out disturbance on the school grounds while he is gazing at his phone. Shikishima calls Subaru telling him Taiga has shown up at his school. Savatari gets a note from his sister Kana informing him she wants pork cutlet dinner. He pauses to consider, then answers. His companion abruptly yanks him away from his phone and gestures toward the stadium. Fearful looking out the classroom window are the two of them. Outside, Taiga is walking out of a purple door, surrounded with a terrible aura. Beside Savatari and his pal at the gym by the ring, a weird dark door shows up. Not only they are not alone, mysterious doors have begun to show up everywhere. Someone looks eager to unlock one. Taiga tells the whole school these doors can provide them a fresh power, powerful enough to compete with a gold rank. Everyone considers his comments in perplexity since he invites them to pass over the gates and team with him. Shikishima shows Subaru a picture of the recently renovated Taiga and informs him he's enrolled in the institution. Bro is more concerned about his hairdo copying. Subaru wonders about the door behind Taiga in the picture as they all hurry to the university. Shikishima claims he knows little but feels something is wrong. The gang follows the shortest path to the institution. Savatari looks at the door in the school, while his friend questions whether they ought to enter at all. Taiga walks into the classroom at the same time and probes them about what is causing such great disturbance. He wonders whether they would be comfortable, allowing themselves to be weak, while others stronger than them had surmounted the same challenge. Savatari stands there, lost in memory of his past. He recalls Kana sobbing and asking why their parents were absent from a disorganized room. Thinking they don't love her, she starts to blame herself. He tells her she has him and asks her not to cry, thereby calming her with a grin. Workers kick him on the streets as he searches among garbage. Cold and hungry, he walks by a house commemorating the birthday of his kid. The mother shuts the curtains fast when she sees him gazing inside. Depressed, he questions what would happen to Kana upon his absence. Just ready to quit up, he falls and sees a 5-star bronze door before him. Returning in the present, Savatari questions Taiga about his behavior since he is among the selected ones. Taiga chuckles and informs him he merely snatched his door. Subaru was the chosen one. They are informed that the doors select people according on their soul's purity. He finds it hard to accept that his soul is less than Subaru's. Knowing he may receive a rainbow door makes him angry. Declaring his intention to change the world, he says Subaru should have stayed beneath him always and uses the back door that picked him. Taiga then invites Savatari to team with him since both of them wish to exact retribution on Subaru. Savatari feels otherwise, but he also cannot turn down his offer since he believes he might be killed. He desired to survive for his sister. He hears a notice on his phone as he and his companion are heading toward the door. Kana is thanking him and calling him gentle for consenting to consume pork cutlet. This sends him once more back in time. The appearance of the bronze door once more presented an opportunity for him to support Kana. Savatari established a gang of bullies in school to exact revenge on people who had mistreated him. The gang finds out Taiga has enrolled at their institution and also hears his sibling studies there. They come upon Subaru in a classroom, tense and sporting glasses. Savatari mocks him, smearing him with a soiled mop and tossing stones. Kana's compliments notwithstanding, he sees he is not really nice. He is merely a weakling who mistreated someone less than him. Standing before the door carrying his phone, he thinks what to do. He asks his friend Itoshima out of the blue to prepare a pork cutlet for his sister tonight. Though perplexed, the friend approves. Savatari then smiles at him and asks him to also apologize on behalf of his sister. He returns to Taiga ready to confront him with his powers. Taiga probes him on why he is doing this. Savatari says that yesterday Subaru had saved his sister. He remembers he never blamed him. Instead, he complimented him. This made him seem small. Tired, he recalls lying on the ground contemplating Kana and what would happen to her once he was gone. He also recalls Subaru's selfless griffin killing and sister-saving actions. Subaru's presence always made the world seem like it would be, even if it grew more horrible. Hearing this, Taiga leaps from the windowsills to the ground and questions him whether he is genuinely wanting to approach the man he tormented. Savatari claims he no longer cares about all that, as he knows Subaru has a great heart and he will pardon him. Subaru and the gold rank had nearly arrived at the university in meantime. Taiga listens all of this with a startled look, but he loses it and clutches Savatari's head when labeled pathetic. His final thoughts are of his sister even in his deathbed hours. Seeing her happy is all he wants. When Subaru does make it to the classroom, he yells angrily and charges right toward Taiga. Taiga greets him with pleasure. When Subaru finds Savatari laying in a pool of blood, he freezes in horror. Consumed in wrath, Subaru strikes Taiga so forcefully that the classroom wall breaks. Taiga, meantime, seems unconcerned by this and smiles at the idea of their rematch. Among the rubble, Subaru and Taiga ground down. Though Subaru doesn't treat Savatari kindly, he doesn't know why Taiga killed him. Furious, he yells at him when they land. Taiga smiles since he wants him to reveal his actual power. Subaru's blood gauntlets break suddenly into dust. Confused, he fixes his hand. Taiga laughs as he examines his face and remarks that although it's a little too early to apply it, it will definitely help to finish him off. A gunshot diverts Taiga. Looking ahead, he sees the 3 golden ranks far off. Taiga laughs as he informs them this is the second time they have surrounded him. He inquires of them whether it was so unexpected for them that he defeated the female. Hirasaka slices off his arm just as he is speaking. Taiga is in great suffering, yet he still chuckles and remarks that this is the first time he has seen a negative face expression. Agreeing with him, Hirasaka says he is furious and finds it unexpected of him too. The potency of the top gold rank shocks Subaru. Hirasaka probes him to be alright, and Taiga is enraged at this and launches an attack. A great arm tries to squeeze Hirasaka and breaks when he defends using his sword. Still struggling with what is occurring, Subaru yells at him. Before he can act, Udo locks Taiga behind a golden wall. While Udo concentrates all his effort on controlling Taiga, Subaru leaps away from the building barrier. This is his second spell. Hence, he broke the regulations by using it outside a gate. Taiga is imprisoned. Shikishima and Saya try synchronized strikes, but he readily nullifies them. Taiga's chuckle resonates as the golden wall starts to break totally. Taiga's might astounds even Udo. His influence is much above what most people could have. Taiga's smoke has a particular effect the group is aware of. Udo requests Hirasaka's permission to apply his other talents, but he advises him doing so will only threaten the life of other people. Taiga wants just this to happen. Shikishima begins to consider Taiga's unique talent's particular effect. He recalls that following her recent meeting with Taiga, Kinokawa's hands and feet were crumbled and weathered down quickly. Taiga's particular gift, if his mental process is accurate, would be to accelerate time. Subaru charges abruptly out of nowhere as the gold ranks face off against him. Shikishima urges him not to enter the smoke since it accelerates time for anything it comes into touch with. Our lad enters the smoke with his face covered in blood and manages to strike Taiga despite the warning. Constant distribution of fresh blood over his body using his blood mold technique helped him to avoid smoke. Taiga tells him his time to be terrified of him is past while he looks at him in perplexity. My man levels up and casts an immortal Inverness spell. Taiga is enraged following Subaru's asterisk remarks. Doors start to show up all around them, close to the gamers. Subaru looks at the purple doors encircling the athletes and detects smoke leaking out. To evade the fog, the players naturally cluster in the middle. Hirasaka is shocked since he has never seen a talent able to call doors. Taiga orders him to start killing his buddies since he can stop his smoke. Closing his eyes, he recalls Sayaka's passing brought on by him. Thick smoke envelops the group and there is no escape route. Considering these conditions, Hirasaka lets Shikishima and Udo exercise their second-level skills, free will. Everyone feels uncomfortable as rainbow energy envelops the space. Subaru yells out and probes him about how he dared to touch his pals. Right now, he is totally consumed in anger. The degree of his hate triggers his conditional skill, which increases his capacity by 30% as long as it lasts. Originally, the effect of the skill was negligible, owing to a power gap, but now Subaru exceeds Taiga. Taiga and Subaru charge at opposite directions. Taiga is surrounded in smoke as Subaru targets from above. Taiga breaks his arm, trying to resist the power even if he blocks his kick. The MC follows up with his blood whip, wrapping them around Taiga's wounded arm. Taiga cries, but he keeps on his unrelenting attack, landing a strong punch that sends him falling and splatters blood all over. Subaru improves his nervous system and gets control over the tentacles emerging from his armor by using the Immortal Inverness ability. Now, he doesn't have to personally regulate them. Anyone unfortunate enough to find themselves entangled in these tentacles finds escape very difficult. Taiga lays on the ground severely wounded. Suddenly, echoing from the dark door is a voice stating that the protagonist's blood manipulation method originates directly from Vanquish. Taiga does not so have any chance in his present condition. Shikishima yells at Subaru to stop since they would like to ask him more questions. This helps him to cool his fury. His rainbow eyes dim as he gets back under control and asks what they ought to do about the smoke. Shikishima advises clearing the cloud with Saya's powers. Near the entryway, blood stains the ground. The gang is uncomfortable from the metallic taste and smell of iron. Once the smoke comes into touch with the fog particles, Shikishima says it begins to vanish, since it is a chemical reaction. Then he asks the owner of the door if he is right, staring straight at it. From the black door, suddenly, a large yellow eye shows up. The owner's voice praises the group for challenging its abilities so rapidly. Shikishima's demand to know the entity's goal exposes its intention to wipe off the sky clock. For Subaru and the others, this shocks. The creature notes a prophecy forecasting the deaths of Hirosaka, Shikishima, and Udo under Taiga's hands in not too distant future. Subaru argues, nonetheless, that the prophecy is untrue, as he will never enable that to occur. The creature laughs as a result, and it claims to be the most alert among the whole bunch. From the owner, Subaru requests a name that corresponds to Black Amniotic Monarch Kokugaiji. Near a fence, some students are debating Taiga's loss. When a friend asks Kei what they should do, the three of them assemble on the school roof. On the roof of a nearby construction, they detect a black energy. Kei remains committed and thoughtful. Kokugaiji informs them back in the fight that it is an entity seeking to wipe out the planet whole. Subaru aims fiercely at assault, but the door vanishes and swallows Taiga inside. Though they fail, all the gold ranks try to pull the door down before the beast can get away. Saya mocks them for letting the beast escape when it vanishes. Shikishima admits he was restrained, so he couldn't move throughout the battle. He says that two more foes who surfaced on the rooftop during their conflict are even more powerful than Taiga. This realization causes Subaru to believe that their rivals already have their plans ahead of them. The creature yells Taiga within the door for being weak and losing to the gold ranks. Still, it helps him to become even more robust. Kokugaiji also welcomes all gamer who decide to walk through the doors. One of the players informs him they will turn on him right away should they fail to get more powerful. Among those participants are Kei and a man sporting a suit. Kei informs the man he entered the door since he saw him there. Seeing all these individuals excites the monster, who urges them to get ready for their scheme. Sawatari is having a funeral outside the gate in the meantime. His sister blankly looks down on the ground while clutching his picture. As well attending the funeral is Itoshima. He relates to Subaru how Sawatari apologized to him in his last hours. Later on, Subaru sits with Shikishima as he relates the black door to him. 5 pupils were discovered in the institution following the event, and additional persons vanished from the city as well. Subaru asks about Sayaka's predicament when he opens the next door, and tells him he intends on becoming stronger. Shikishima advises him going forward to train with Hirosaka. He heads to meet Hirosaka with Saya the following day. Given their diverse combat techniques, Shikishima doubted he could impart knowledge to him. He therefore reasoned that training with the top rank would be more suited for him. Knowing that he would be learning a lot excites Subaru. Walking towards their gate, the two of them meet upon the Happy Yamada Cluba Silver Team, headed by Yamada. They inform him they already have this gate reserved. Apologizing, Hirosaka checks his book and says his door is in Nerima City. That gate is 4-star, and known as the Mysterious Jungle. Hirosaka tells the protagonist that the difficulty on the gate is merely an approximative as they are approaching the gate. Suddenly screaming, Subaru understands he is actually standing in a marsh. Hirosaka remains motionless and sinks totally in the marsh. Subaru recalls how Shikishima advised him to be cautious around him as his soul strength is natural. He considers assisting him with his blood mold expertise, but a massive iron ant materializes. Hirosaka suddenly kills the ant concurrently by using his Titan's blade magic and leaving the marsh. Subaru is immensely appreciative that this individual started playing. Hirosaka, on the other hand, muses over himself almost dying. Over his whole childhood, Hirosaka never developed any particular specialization. Though his parents anticipated him to be intelligent, they kept loving and caring for him instead being disappointed with him. In 4th grade, he prevented bullying of one of his buddies. But the same friend gathered with the bullies to bash him up the next day. Hirosaka was profoundly disturbed by this treachery and came to see that people often turn on one another out of personal flaws. He resolved not to betray anyone from that day on, and he really thought he would become a real friend by doing so. Returning from the gate, he was once more caught in the marsh. He pulls Subaru out when he seeks assistance from him. He tells him he was hitting it out since his opponent looked to have strong instincts. Moments thereafter, a massive monster emerges from the marsh seeking Hirosaka for food. Subaru now understands that Hirosaka is the kind of athlete to always go first versus an unidentified opponent. He wants none of his buddies to get in hot water. Subaru gives the swamp monster he created a towel to help him get cleaned up. Hirosaka chuckles and tells him he came well prepared seeing this. He got all of this from Shikishima. He advised him he would need these things on their raid. Hearing this, Hirosaka laughs even more and informs him that out of all his friends, Shikishima struggles most. He is stranded completing papers while the two of them are within the gate. Udo advises him to go leisurely and let Hirosaka finish certain tasks as well. Bad with desk job, Shikishima becomes even more enraged and claims that it is useless. Kinokawa is still in the hospital, hence staff is lacking. Hirosaka says he has been collaborating with the other 3 gold ranks ever the Players' Federation was founded. Over 8 years, they have been friends. This is the reason he lost control upon learning what Taiga did to Kinokawa. He tells Subaru he only has to beat his brother right now. The MC assures him he is ready for anything since he hates him as well. 3 of them reach the brink of a cliff. Hirosaka tells them the boss is roughly 20 kilometers ahead of them, even though they can see little. One of his abilities is enabling him to magnify his view up to 100 times. The supervisor is a giant tree with brilliant eyes. We name it the gun turret spirit tree. The manager moves in for an attack right after noticing them. Aware of this, Hirosaka shields them with his golden sword right away. The 3 create strong explosions covering a large region around it. The highest ranking indicates to them that this is what he intended when he claimed that the degree of difficulty on the doors was only an estimate. The manager they are facing is clearly a lower 5-star even though they pass a 4-star gate. Realizing they would have most certainly perished without Hirosaka shielding them with his sword, Subaru begins to lose it. He thus leaps high in the air using his blood ability. Mana is consumed, thus he cannot keep it up for very long. Hirosaka informs him, nonetheless, that he has done great since the boss is already dead. He utilized his warp edge magic to shift the slash along with the blade to any point within his sight while they were in the air. This method drains a lot of mana, yet if shot properly, it can eliminate even the toughest of foes. After boss defeat, the 3 of them leave the gate. Hirosaka tells him not to tell Shikishima anything and apologizes for killing the boss by himself. Still, it is far too late, since Subaru has already delivered him the report. Shikishima says his goodbye to the MC and urges him to be ready for tomorrow, since he is going to reserve a 5-star gate. He is dragging him fiercely inside. He is quite startled since he has never before passed a 5-star gate. He considers he should pick up Hirosaka's fighting technique while seated on his bed. Still, he cannot get anything even after much thought. The black suit-wearing man informs one of his subordinates it is time to implement their scheme. As they barely leave the purple gate in Shinagawa City, a player group known as Grax encounters Kei and his pal. Similar circumstances surround Bunkyo City, where Julieta encounters a player intent on killing him. The man in the black suit fixing his glasses as he declares the search to have started is the brains behind all of this. Julieta phones Shikishima back at headquarters to let him know he killed someone. Angry, Shikishima reminds him he should stay in captivity until his sentence is decided. He says he defended himself after being attacked. Shikishima glances at a player card when requesting specifics about his opponent and shows the name Kishikawa, a copper-ranked player. Though Kishikawa wasn't especially strong, Julieta notes that his odd ability for insect manipulation looked to be related to the black faction Shikishima had before mentioned. Searching for his specifics in player records, Shikishima discovers that the spell Kishikawa employed is unique from anything recorded. According to him, these guys might be learning fresh techniques from the Dark Door. Not just Julieta was assaulted. The black faction routed the Grax team overall. Julieta realized their system was unique from other players, much like Subaru's abilities gained from the Rainbow Door while fighting Kishikawa. One of their members lost to Julieta, although a man contacts Kei and says everything has gone as scheduled. The manager tells he intends to target the gold levels next and has already eliminated the top-ranked silver squad. The scenario moves to a city where Subaru, Hirosaka, and Kusaka Reconnaissance Department members stand before a 5-star gate. Kusaka describes how one studies and clears the gate. Inquiring whether Kusaka is married, Subaru finds a band on her finger. She attests to this and says she departed from frontline duty after marriage since players run risks. Shikishima sent her into the Department of Reconnaissance. She said her family was in the city when the whale attacked it. She appreciates Subaru saving them. Their intended portal of entrance is known as the Seat of Storm and Thunder. It comprises 2 sections, a palace and a garden, with 2 thrones on top floor. When Hirosaka inquires about the residence of the boss, Kusaka assures him that he might occupy any throne. Recall that Subaru fought a 2-boss team in a 2-star gate and never expected it in his first 5-star gate. He is so astonished to learn there are 2 bosses. As Subaru gets ready to go through the gate, Hirosaka calms his anxiety. Kei, who had been waiting outside, ambushes the 3 as they arrive. He phones someone and tells them to open the black door in 10 minutes. Taiga shows up, transformed on the other side of the call. Inside the 5-star gate, the gang discovers a huge palace. Hirosaka instructs Saya to lock the door right away since he detects something is wrong. She follows, and as the door closes, black clouds gather, fierce winds blow, and an overpowering presence fills the air. 2 bosses show up, level 89 Storm Delta and level 93 Thunder Kill'em. Both managers perceive Subaru and Saya's presence, which they find objectionable, and acknowledge the shining knight among the athletes. Knight soldiers arrive as the fight starts, each more powerful than the whale Subaru had to contend with. Subaru yells at Saya to cast different spells using as much mana as she requires. Understanding the gravity of the matter, Subaru understands he had to start out totally aggressive. He starts his Immortal Inverness spell without thinking and charges into fight. Hirosaka gestures 2 fingers, and the guards are surrounded in brilliant golden light. From the earth, a huge blade comes up, slashing some guards to bits. Still, half of them are standing even following the forceful attack. Hirosaka notes Subaru aiming for a guard's leg as he keeps battling. The guard shockingly takes Subaru by the leg, spins him over, and slams him down. Stunned, Subaru detects the guard breaking his suit by feeling his chest battered. Even from sushi or carry-on, the blow is powerful than anything Subaru has experienced before. The guard starts another attack, but Hirosaka yells to Subaru. Subaru breaks through the guard's defenses with an elbow attack after kicking the guard rainbow-colored eyes. Shocked but resolved, Subaru says he is not there to restrain Hirosaka. Trapping the guard with his blood whip, he twists him and uses a drill to destroy him. Though Subaru is left terrified, the 54th level Thunderstorm Knight falls. His level stays the same. He simply earns a few points. With half his mana gone and a third of his health lost, Subaru stays at level 31, all for fighting 1 guard. 4 more around him right now. He draws his Divine Chisel but is reluctant to launch a costly attack. The knights suddenly call forth weapons from nowhere by using their Vajra sword skill. Subaru understands this is the actual difficulty level's challenge. Hirosaka watches the knights near as Subaru steadies himself. Subaru's visage freezes, but a slight smile shows through. Sitting in his hotel room the next evening, Subaru muses over the raid. Though he respects Hirosaka, he understands he cannot become him and does not need to. Shikishima has sent him to fight with everything he has, not to study from Hirosaka. Blood covered over Subaru promises to become stronger in awareness, level, preparation, and the resolve to survive as well. His determination is stoked by memories of Sayaka's death, Sawatari's suffering, and Kana's loss. Subaru leaps to meet the attacking guards. He blocks their swords with his chisel, then finds difficulty standing. 1 guard angs Subaru by cutting his blood armor from behind. He snags the guard's arm with blood tentacles, slices it off, and kills him. The rest stand stunned as Subaru beats the level 59 opponent. Subaru levels out, severely damaged but recovers his health and mana. Subaru disappears, then resurfaced in the heavens when the guards attack once more. Levels 53 and 63, he swings his chisel, slaying 2 knights. His level returns once more. Standing in the rain, Subaru's rainbow-colored eyes meet the fearful look of the surviving guards. Inside him, something has changed. Shikishima had earlier told Hirosaka not to give him advice and not to save Subaru until right last minute. When questioned why, Shikishima said Subaru might reach their level. He merely required practice and a strong fight to challenge himself to its limits. Shikishima told Hirosaka to encourage Subaru by showing his strength, since he knew he couldn't educate others. Shikishima left Hirosaka to consider his place. He called him the strongest. Hirosaka smiles at the idea, now standing in the rain. He quickly swings to easily overcome guards attacking. Seeing Subaru, Hirosaka muses over whether he might one day be a lighthouse of hope. He recalls the paper about the emergence of a 6-star gate. 8 years have gone since the first gate opened, and hopelessness rules the top players. 3 stars was the highest difficulty the first gate presented. Still, the difficulty grew more demanding with time. 3 years later, 4-star gates showed up. 5-star gates followed. Every elevation in stars meant a 10-fold increase in challenge. The group projects a 6-star gate to show up shortly. Shikishima expects a 7-star gate in 4 years. He and Hirosaka sit at a huge table going over their situation. Is them 10 times stronger than 2 years ago, Shikishima wonders? Hirosaka acknowledges that they are not. Handling a 6-star gate would call for their whole gold rank squad. Frustrated, Shikishima laments players maybe not being able to keep up with the always rising challenge of the gate. Who could endure a challenge 10 times more difficult than a 5-star gate? Given the time restriction for 5-star gates is already stretched to its limit, Shikishima understands the sky clock would break after just one failure. He starts to think people might have no option except to accept loss. With his worries weighing him, Hirosaka considers the friends he might lose. Shikishima answers a phone from Kinokawa, who is in a hospital with Udo suddenly. She says they have odd information and are questioning murder case suspects. The Rainbow Doors look is Shikishima, and Hirosaka would find this interesting. Subaru, meantime, fights a knight carrying all he owns. His motions swift and exact as he struggles with the guard with his celestial sword. Hirosaka notes Subaru and finds it impressive that the lad now depends just on his swordsmanship. Subaru moves onto the guard's arm during the battle and slices his opponent with his heavenly chisel. With deliberate wrath, he beats the level 56 Wind and Thunder guard. Subaru starts to get better understanding of his weapon. Focusing on the tip of the blade, he activates a technique that pierces strong defenses while sparing mana. Hirosaka notes Subaru's development not from instruction, but from learning throughout his conflicts. Using her Killing Field ability, Saya sends blood drops that burst on impact over the heavens. She tries, but she knows her attacks won't be sufficient to take down the guards her level. She gives Sayaka's body top priority, then works on lowering Subaru and Hirosaka's counts. Subaru steps in to cut a golden blade in half just as it is threatening her. Before going back to battle, he advises Saya to be cautious and keep safe. Then Subaru joins Hirosaka and expresses his annoyance at not being able to level off at this point. Hirosaka says the palace might be an extra stage, like the cat boss stage Subaru once encountered, whereby only bosses showed up. Subaru understands the guards are called upon a skill, so their experience points are few. Here, atop their thrones, Thunder and Storm are the 2 bosses exclusively. Storm praises the player's concentration, and Thunder smiles, wondering whether they would fight themselves or send someone tougher. Lightning flashes over the heavens. Hirosaka worries their energy is being wasted while Subaru resolves to keep fighting knights to level off. He believes the superiors want them to expose their trump cards under pressure. Out of the palace, Thunder and Storm suddenly walk. The sight of the superiors widens Hirosaka's eyes. He muses over splitting terrain with his warp-edged sword, a skill using 80% of his mana. The rain stops and the thunderclouds disappear before he moves, though. Behind him, the managers seem instructing them not to try any shenanigans. They want a fair fight, prepared to take on the players squarely. The 2 of them are startled to learn the supervisors are conversational as they are facing them. Subaru remembers a similar meeting with a supervisor at Soldier Dumping Ground. Like wild animals, most managers attack and kill any invasions into their domain. These superiors, nevertheless, are unique. They can strategize and control the weather. Hirosaka asks the superiors whether they have time for a chat before facing war. Startled by the request, the superiors question whether he has anything he would want to know. Hirosaka, clenching his fist, probes them about the doors and demands their reason for showing up in the world. The managers exchange startled looks and wonder whether he has learnt anything from Ludwig, the owner of the gate who bestowed upon him powers. Hearing this, Hirosaka questions whether the director's superiors are intimately associated with the principal man behind the doors. The managers agree to disclose all they know since they admit they have been caught in this spot for a long period. Subaru and Hirosaka find it hard that they could find the secrets of the world so readily. Lack of faith in his memory, Hirosaka swiftly pulls out his phone to capture the exchange. But as the superiors start to talk, their words seem like a glitch garbled and incoherent. Angry, the managers apologies, saying a protective force forbids them from disclosing such information. Subaru wonders aloud if the superiors are only able to expose some things. Hirosaka, not giving up, asks whether they may write the material rather than talk it out. Should he go empty-handed? He worries Shikishima would be enraged. The managers reject the concept, saying it is unworkable. Still, they represent a challenge. Should Subaru and Hirosaka beat them, they will be one step closer to the truth. Playing a few games of rock, paper, scissors helps the superiors to settle their duties. After winning, the Storm Boss chooses Hirosaka as his opponent and charges him without warning. Just at the last second, Hirosaka hardly stops the attack. The Storm Boss notes Hirosaka's fortitude as their fight gets more intense, and says Ludwig selected the ideal possessor. Hirosaka understands this boss is far stronger than he has ever encountered. Subaru meets the Thunder Boss personally in meantime. Overwhelmed, he reacts naturally with shock back off. The angry Thunder Boss murmurs about having to cope with the despised Eternal Possessor. Hearing this, Subaru freaks out, asking what he means. The Thunder Boss emphasizes that although he does not go into more detail, Subaru is not at blame. Subaru feels strangely relaxed even though his opponent is somewhat threatening. His senses are confused in the casual chat, hence he momentarily forgets the seriousness of the matter. The manager informs him he intends to have some fun before completing him. The Thunder Boss starts a thunder attack before Subaru can react. Subaru strikes straight, his body scorched beyond identification, and underestimates the boss's power. Disappointed, the Thunder Boss likens Subaru to a squashed bug too feeble to be worth the work. Hirosaka looks back at his fallen comrade, while the manager parodies Subaru's frailty. Using this diversion, the Storm Boss delivers a lethal strike, shattering one of Hirosaka's eyes. Surprised to find Subaru's holy sword unscathed by his lightning strike, the Thunder Boss grabs it. Understanding the power of the sword causes Subaru to become unbalanced. The boss decides Subaru must be the possessor of the immortal god Vanquish. Saya's pleading voice calls out as the Thunder Boss muses over his next action. The Thunder Boss advises her not to do anything else. Else, she will end up like Subaru. Tears running on her face, she recalls his advice to keep safe. She shouts at him to get up. Her protests are ignored by the manager, who notes Subaru cannot fight since his legs have been ruined. Suddenly, Subaru's voice breaks out among the anarchy. Saya should keep out of the fighting, he advises. He applied the same approach he did against Taiga. Subaru layered semi-hardened blood on his torso. With just 117 horsepower left, he clings to life even after he lost his hands and feet. If Subaru sees this as a chance, even if this is his toughest opponent he has ever encountered, he knows he will come out of this battle much stronger if he can survive. Inquiring as to whether Subaru is indeed blocking his strike with blood, the Thunder Boss challenges his technique. He labels him a filthy, despised immortal, and parodies his hideous looks. Laughing as he targets Hiroski, the Storm Boss is somewhat too enjoying the fight. He says he values him. Hiroski can keep up with him, even though he lost his right eye. Hiroski answers that his assaults will also be more sharp, since his remaining eye gleams much more than it did. His next assault throws the manager back. While the Storm Boss chuckles, Hiroski reminds him that nobody is strong from first. As weak people were, they nonetheless experienced numerous occasions of feeling as though they were on the brink. Then he considers the Storm Boss and remarks he would get much more powerful if he could beat him. Hiroski applies Imperial Radiance, his fifth ability. Mana helps to boost all ability and skill effects by 130%. When the manager inquires whether this is Hiroski's trump card, he remarks that he is as outstanding as predicted. Charging at Hiroski, the manager aims to hit him. The conflict between Subaru and the Thunder Boss appears to be one-sided meanwhile. Subaru is running, but it is difficult to evade, as the speed of lightning itself is 100,000 kilometers. While always moving without delay, he has to foretell the boss's next actions. He will die right away if he misses avoiding an attack. Subaru begins to wither as the boss launches his assaults. He is aware that all the troops will be defeated if things keep as they are. One lightning strike with his present HP will kill him. His scheme is to level up to repair his health by trying to defeat some troops. At last, he discovers a soldier in his way and slams his skull off. Startled, the manager watches him as he levels off and recovers his health. Leveling up offers more rewards than only improved status. Subaru's health is totally recovered. The missing body parts have been rebuilt. Though still not convinced Subaru can win, the manager is really impressed. Subaru strikes him with a pressurized blood assault, but the boss merely blocks it with his fist. He informs Subaru that it truly wouldn't make a difference even if his power had grown. Subaru launches into the heavens and aims once more for the boss. Angry, the boss claims he now knows why Subaru was selected as the hated Eternal Possessor, saying he hates giving up, fiercely clings to his life, and ends up pursuing pointless activities. He talks about Subaru's will. Deflecting Subaru's strike, He launches an aerial thunder attack. Subaru understands he won't even be able to land a hit if things continue this way, and will just be overwhelmed by the authority of the boss. The manager advises him against applying his tiny ruses in face of such overwhelming authority since there is no use in it. Subaru's strategy to land a hit with his present power is useless. Even if it is based on Sushi interrupts the boss by grabbing the divine sword carelessly and headed towards Subaru. The manager strikes Sushi with a thunder assault right away without thinking. But mana helps Sushi come back instead of dying, which baffles the boss even more. Even Subaru had overlooked the fact Sushi could regenerate. Having realized his approach, he questions if Sushi is trying to assist him. He yells to Sushi and commands her to bring him the sword. Sushi throws the blade to Subaru, but right once the boss shows up before him, Subaru chuckles as the boss tries to seize the blade. Behind him now stands the now enormous Sushi. Reacting fast, the boss kicks Sushi one time to smash it. The manager understands that Sushi's soul connects to Subaru familiarly. Subaru charges his heavenly sword as the manager is lost. He annihilates every soldier on the ground with one attack, pouring all of his mana. He will level up to 35 with this sufficient intake. The manager tries to attack him right away and wastes nothing. He demands angrily from Subaru why he clings so tightly to his life, and why he must do so merely for survival. Hearing this, Subaru considers his life when everyone dubbed him a bug. He also considers those who helped him. He says to his manager he only wants to see his pal Sayaka. Though they spent little time together, the times they spent hunting together were enjoyable. He merely wants to see her once more and thank her. He also wants to be sorry to her and become better with her. The somewhat perplexed boss asks Subaru what he means. Subaru says he bet everything on his scheme for this reason. He unlocked his second ability knowing that a third door might show up rather likely. At level 35, his second ability opened, and sure enough, the rainbow door materialized. Accidentally entering the entrance, the Thunder Boss spots Vanquish, who advises him to get ready for punishment for injuring his possession. Vanquish tells Subaru he won, and he performed a great job. Telling the Thunder Boss the youngster will return stronger, he snatches him using blood. Vanquish's Thunder Kill him isn't finished yet. He still remembers how he killed him years ago. Telling him he won't let him go and charging his Thunder attack, he yells at him. Unknowingly walking into the door as he strikes Vanquish is... After laying Subaru on the ground, Vanquish asks him whether he truly enjoys being in front of him right on death's brink. Still, Subaru finds it hard to believe this man is Vanquish. He uses his spell to heal Subaru so he may stand up. Looking around, Subaru finds the Thunder Boss is enraged right now. Since this is his gate, Vanquish asks his boss to leave. Saying he was the one who intervened in a one-on-one battle, Thunderkillum yells at him. He assures him he will follow him after completing the lad. Vanquish shows him an annoyed expression and advises not to use Warrior King regulations. He claims to have infiltrated the human realm without authorization, and is now driving them into a one-on-one conflict. Vanquish, nevertheless, welcomes his challenge and teams with Subaru to seize his body. He assures him he will show him how to really employ Blood Mold. Seeing Subaru at level 35 somewhat impresses Vanquish. The Thunder Boss finds it unbelievable that he intends to defeat him with such body. Vanquish smiles at him and remarks that it is sufficient to defeat someone like him who has run out of all of his strength. Vanquish knocks his head off with a classic smack before the Thunder Boss can even speak. He advises him he will die here, thus he is never going to leave this gate. Inside him, Subaru finds it hard to believe his body performs such thing. The boss rejuvenates, but Vanquish strikes him with a blood shot right away. Then he combines the blood and curses it on top of itself. He also creates the blood spin in a vortex concurrently. This transforms My Man Thunder into an abstract modern artwork. The manager won't be ready to accept his loss this readily though. Surprising Vanquish, he tries to strike back. The supervisor is shot by another round of blood as the two of them are still fighting. Surprised by all of this, Subaru asks Vanquish whether he is thus strong from start. Unable to tolerate this disrespect, My Man Vanquish orders him to stop undervaluating him. Subaru questions him about his ability to destroy such formidable opponent who can regenerate. Previously battling the cat boss with comparable abilities, he wouldn't cause any significant damage until its MP ran out entirely. Before he fires the blood, Vanquish admits he is cursing it. This lets his strikes reach the target in their soul instead of their body. It works well against adversaries with great regenerating capacity. Right now, the Thunder Boss is growing increasingly irritated. Subaru questions Vanquish about the reason the supervisor despises him so strongly. He admits he caught him behind the fence and killed him in the underworld. Vanquish returns his attention to the manager and remarks he is acting seriously. It is clear who wins as the two of them resume fighting. The Thunder Boss gets constant bombards of pressured blood and has no chance in the fight. He says he isn't feeling quite strong. Hearing this, Vanquish informs him that he had always depended on his power wherever he was. This is the reason warriors like them never fulfill their actual potential. He wouldn't have to deal with him if he had slain the MC fast. He missed the moment. Subaru could open the door. The young child was ready to utilize more than his own might to bring about success. Vanquish drives him into pieces before the boss can utter anything. Turning towards Subaru, he advises him to start treating all of this more seriously. Shock paralyzes Subaru, his mouth gaping as he observes the horrors happen. Beside Vanquish, he sees the situation with a confident smile while gently folding his arms into his sleeves. Glancing at Vanquish, Subaru is astounded by how easily he vanquished the Thunder Boss. Realizing he has never questioned Vanquish's presence in this weird reality, he wonders who this strong man actually is. The system window changes suddenly. The alert indicating the boss's revival replaces the notice declaring her loss. Subaru's amazement becomes alarming. Disbelievingly spreading his arms, he yells to Vanquish. Vanquish only smiles though, and advises him not to start to panic. This, he says, is only the residual force of the Thunder Killam. The supervisor made use of Storm Perosia. Level 5. A talent exclusive of weather gods. Only once per 240 days, it restores 5% of their maximum HP and revitalizes them. Now flickering with lightning, the Thunder Boss lunges forward and yells furiously. Vanquish does not hesitate. He orders the boss to fall by just flicking his fingers, therefore forcing him to ground. Rising his head, the manager lets out a ferocious growl with a distorted visage from wrath. Subaru watches, surprised. Such resurrection talents were unknown to him. Vanquish says these bosses have strong souls, but as a side result, their revived versions often lose control of their senses. Subaru has shivers from terror. He understands that Vanquish's presence defeats the Thunder Killam solely. Even in this diminished state, facing the boss seems difficult without him. His ideas stray to Hirasaka, maybe facing a similarly strong opponent. Interrupting Subaru's thoughts, Vanquish pipes out reminding him of the trial. Vanquish says, pointing a finger, Subaru's challenge is to kill the revived Thunder Killam. Subaru's look changes to incredulity. Vanquish reminds him he is useless should he fail. He also makes it abundantly evident that he will not step in, even if Subaru is under threat. He advises him to fan his hate. Uncertain, Subaru answers he has no cause to despise the Thunder Boss. Vanquish suggests that those who aim high always have something they despise. Most of them find it to be their own self. His comments still baffle Subaru. He says it could be because people around him treated him as an insect. This made him despise himself for being so frail somewhere deep. This is also the reason he is not bothered about sacrificing his life for others. Vanquish advises him that this is a mistaken attitude. He claims he should despise his weakness instead of blaming himself for it. Hatred is to equip him to enter the future, not to linger in the past. Our lad becomes rather upset all around this. Tears begin to flow down his eyes. He starts approaching the boss with his heavenly chisel in hand. Vanquish assures him he can start liking himself someday and be really happy if he can spark his hate and grow stronger. In the thick of a battle, my man sloppily spouting words of wisdom, his level of development prompted him to acquire the cursed blood skill. It dealt damage to the enemy's soul rather than their body by consuming mana to curse blood mold. Apologizing for making him wait, Subaru approaches the boss with a chilly demeanor. While the Thunder Killam haughtily laughs, Subaru charges his blade and gets ready to bring about death. The Storm Manager is struggling at the same time against our lad Hirasaka. The top rank ties him in place during his second spell, therefore preventing his escape. He has been using his Imperial Radiance ability, which runs a lot of mana. He has 48 seconds to wrap up this fight. He uses the Flying Dragon Slash since he understands he has to stop it now. It is so strong that it halves the boss. The Storm Boss notes that the player is becoming ever more robust. Hirasaka slices him in two once again using his giant Beastbreaker strikes while he regenerates. He keeps overwhelming him with more strikes until the Storm Boss cannot regenerate fast enough. The seventh ability of Hirasaka enables him to use the strategies of eminent leaders who attended Ludwig's academy. Exhausted, he falls to the ground as he kills the boss. Over this battle, he nearly ran low in mana and health. Looking for Subaru, he spots the rainbow door far away. He receives a sudden alert informing him the manager has come back. He so feels as though he has let his guard down. Hirasaka is still on the ground as the supervisor charges him at full speed. Subaru shows up with a rainbow glow all around him before he can reach him. With his curse blow, he totally demolished the supervisor. He has ascended to 45. Vanquish counted it as his own kill as he was inside Subaru's body after defeating his former supervisor. As he merely dealt the finishing blow, he received no XP for the second boss. Hirasaka lifts his palm to his left eye, which momentarily darkens as a warning flashes there. From 84 to 85, his level rises. His eye goes normal when he lowers his hand. As the two stand among the ground stilled by war, Subaru smiles faintly. "Thank you," Hirasaka notes it was a dangerous battle. With his eyes closed, he smiles expressing thanks for his life being saved. Then Hirasaka finds that Subaru's level has stayed the same. Subaru shyly says it's because he barely participated the last 5% of the fight. Gate rules stipulate no experience points are rewarded if the damage done is less than 20%. Renji questions his ignorance about this. Subaru yells loudly for Saya and Sushi. She bursts her head from the palace hearing his words. Saya and Sushi glance startledly on the roof. Saya grins, with the cat yawning on her shoulder. She lets out relief knowing Subaru is safe. He praises her and declares it at last ended. At last, the group chooses to go past the gate. Together, the heroes enter a room. Inside, 3 others stare at them. Udo is one among them. He had Hishizaki Ryuji, the top healer in Japan.